Okay, we're doing this. Welcome to day one of the S.E.R.V.E method revisited. This is like such an interesting point in time. We haven't done the S.E.R.V.E method in about 2 years. And it was time to bring it back and to bring back all the integration and all the teachings in a way that is very different from the original version that was released. Okay? There is so many things that stay the same, but the depth and the perspective and the context has changed because we have all changed. So if you love the S.E.R.V.E method, great, then I think you're going to love this 10 times more, I hope. If you have never experienced the S.E.R.V.E method, don't worry about it and welcome. This is such a powerful, powerful 7 days we're going to be spending together. And I will be walking you through each letters of the S.E.R.V.E method. Today, I'm going to give you a summary and an introduction so you can kind of feel into the energy and you can check in with yourself based on your own internal authority. Is this right for me? Is this something that I want to spend the next 7 days kind of processing, pondering, taking notes and letting myself sit with this? What's right for me? What's not? What is the next strategy for 2023? What do I want to birth out into the world? Like, what is really pulling me, right? And so that's today. And tomorrow we're going to dive right into S. Before we get started, logistics. Everything that you need to know is under this video. If you don't have your workbook, there's a link to the workbook. There are links to courses that I have running. There's links to a strategy session with me. And there is a link to ask your questions. Day 7, I'm going to do a Q&A. The questions, the last day to submit questions is going to be day 5. So that I can look at them, I can tune in to what's behind the question, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as humanly possible. If not all of them, we'll see how it goes on and send you the final recording on day 7. Hopefully, time will allow. And if not, it's going to come on day 8. That's totally possible. We will try to keep it on schedule, but this is so much about time, flexibility, and freedom. And I want to lead by example and make, if there's a day delay, make that okay. But all the parts have already been recorded of the S.E.R.V.E method, so you will be receiving this in your inbox for the next 6 days, and you will have your workbook and you can work through the questions. And I really recommend you sit with this and you let it simmer. You don't take a whole lot of other things spiritually, whatever, because this is such an opportunity. It's a huge, huge, huge opportunity for you to really sit with what hasn't worked in 2022. What worked? What can I do better? Where can I focus my energy? Where can I focus my creation? Like, bring back. We have been healing so much. We have been and sometimes we get stuck in the analysis and confusion and what am I supposed to do with this? Because we have all been through upgrades of consciousness over and over and over and over. And it feels like now it's a really, really good time to really have let this settle in for a little bit. Okay, while we continue healing, but also put our focus in how can I give back? How can I bring the best foot forward in my community, for my clients, in my business? How can I serve? How can I give? What's my legacy? That sort of thing. Super excited to dive into this. So, first things first, what is the S.E.R.V.E method and how did it come about? It started almost 3 years ago, and I taught it about 12 times to, I want to say, around 8,000 people in various Facebook groups. We did various launches. And my clients, those who came to work with me, used the S.E.R.V.E method. The way it was designed originally, it was a very 3D method. It had a lot of spreadsheets and widgets, and it's this is how you do it. This is how you run program. Here's your checklist for onboarding people into the program, right? This is how you run virtual retreats. This is how you promote it. This is the things you put out there. It was the whole system was super, super organized, and it was great. And here's one thing that I was really missing, because I was missing the same understandings. It was a deeper dive into the emotions and the energetics of what happens as we grow our business. So what I'm doing in this version is merging the two. the strategic and the tactical, and really looking at the road mapping and how we do things, and then bringing in the pieces of our disempowering context, the emotions, the energetics, all these things that I have learned. So it's going to have a different depth and it's going to have different dimension, okay? Before we go there, there is only one rule in this program that is really, really important to me. And that is that you judge for yourself and discern for yourself of what works for you and what doesn't, okay? Because there's one thing that I absolutely do not want to do, and to tell you, take this as it is, run with it, it's going to work no matter what. And because that is one of the savior patterns that we have all done, or not all of us, some of us have done in the past, right? When we tell people, okay, this is how it's going to work, do it. And sometimes it doesn't, only because their soul wants to teach them to own their responsibility for their decision. So what I want you to do when you listen to this, when you listen to these trainings, always check in your body, depending on your authority, in authority, you might check in with your emotions, if you're emotional authority, of how this feels. You might check in with your instinct, if you're splenic authority, and so on and so forth. You understand your authority the best. If you are new to authority, you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's taught differently by different people. But for example, using human design, you can go to human design, you can log into one of these calculators, you can find out, they're all free, or most of them are free. You can find out what your authority is based on your birth chart. And then you find out, for example, I have splenic authority, then you can do some YouTube searching about what that means and start learning about yourself, okay? This is such a key piece. It has been for me, it has been for my clients, to integrate. It's so important to really start honing in your compass and start deciding what is right for you, rather than somebody telling you this is the strategy ABCXYZ, and if I just go with it, it's going to be fine, because it doesn't work that way, okay? The strategies that have worked for my clients and for me, some of them will work for you and some of them simply won't, because we are different human beings. So you're very responsible for making the decision for yourself whether something is or isn't right for you, okay? And sometimes we don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I wish somebody just handed me the roadmap. This is how you build your business, Eva. So you do it. This is the way that it's going to make you happy. It's never, you're never going to burn out if you do this, If somebody gave me that, wouldn't it be amazing? Like, I would pay them anything. Like, I'll give them anything if they just hand me the roadmap, that is perfect for me. If I just know, okay, if I do this and this and this and that, it's going to work out. But I will tell you one thing, there is no such program in the world. There is no business coach, no person that you can go, I love their strategy, I'm going to follow it A to Z, and I'm going to get the result, and I'm going to sustain them, okay? And I'm not going to burn out. It's not going to get on my nerves eventually. There is no such thing. That just isn't. Because there's only you. Your design is so unique. Of all the combinations, all the ways that you could have come, like all the ways you could have been made, there is only one of you. And it is your responsibility to get to know yourself, to begin to explore yourself, and to really begin asking yourself, what resonates with me based on your internal authority? Whether it feels good or it just makes sense, for me, things just make sense because I'm splenic. I'm like instinctively, like, this makes sense. Yes, of course, I need to do it, until it doesn't. And then something else makes sense. Okay. So that is the rule. And just notice, like, you watch this recording and you be present somatically in your body. Like, when you watch me share stories, like, be present somatically in your body and watch your reaction. And if you're triggered, get curious, okay? Get really curious. What is this about? What does this mean? Okay? If there's something about that is just like, oh, but, just notice, be present, breathe. Be in your body when you watch these recordings. Be present. If you can feel your heartbeat before you start watching this, even better. Okay? Let's dive into the S.E.R.V.E method and what each letter means. Before we do it, I would love to just ask you to find a comfortable place, find a comfortable position in your chair. And breathe in. You can use the Ujjayi breath, which I really love using, which is like you breathing through the back of your throat as if you were breathing through a straw. And sometimes, I can't do it too much because it sometimes puts me in altered state, okay? But it's very important to be in the body. Sometimes people teach it as be behind your eyes, or feel your body, or feel your heart, whatever your way is. Being in your body, using this time, you're watching these recordings to actually be present to what's going on, to be in your body, to be present, to feel what's going on with your emotions, with your thoughts, and be an observer witness. Like that in itself, if you get nothing else, and you just practice being present and practice discerning, awesome. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Then you may want to have a journal ready. I will say one thing. I do not recommend taking a lot of notes. And that is because the things that really light you up, things that really make sense that you want to do, like say talk about virtual retreats, and they absolutely like, oh my gosh, they're like, this sets a fire in me. And I know this. You're going to remember, and then you go back to the recording, okay? Rather than taking the notes, being busy taking the notes and not spending the time actually feeling into and kind of contemplating, how would this be for me? Would this work for me? Is this something that is calling me in my business? Okay? So take notes. You can pause the recording, which is, I love doing the recorded version. You can pause the recording if you catch yourself, if you catch a little blind spot or something, and you can write it down. And then you can go back after. If you do the recordings in the morning, for example, you can go schedule time in the evenings to sort of process anything that arises, look into it from the self with capital S perspective. Take a look at the parts that have something to say about these business strategies. There might be fears that come up. There might be past disappointments. Oh, I've done it before and it didn't work out. Oh my gosh, I have done launches before and it didn't work. Or I have done, whatever, emailing didn't work. Like those things are going to come up that are really real for you. But there's difference between what feels really real and really negative. And it might still be the way for you to move forward if you heal whatever you have around the strategy, okay? Because so many times we do a thing, it doesn't work out, we're traumatized, and we never do it again, even though it is actually the best strategy for us in this moment, okay? So, for example, you used to send a lot of emails, and then you got some nasty emails back, and then you don't even want to send emails. Okay, could be an example. Or you had a lot of successful launches and then you had a couple that were flops and you don't want to do it anymore because you can't deal with the disappointment. So when things like that come up, it's your job to be really, really, really present. What's really going on. Not what's really in front of you and all the parts that are maybe in pain, that are harmed by your past failures, and it's like, I really don't want to do it again. I don't want to watch myself fail again. Like all that stuff that comes up, it's your job to be present with it and take responsibility for healing it. And with programs like this is not a healing program. This is a program where I bring different concepts, different ideas to you, okay? And that is one piece of the story. It builds awareness. It puts things to you to ponder, to heal, to contemplate. The other side of this is actually doing the healing that goes along with it. Okay? There's one more thing before I tell you what the letters are, because I know you want to hear some of the success that our clients have had. And there's a whole testimonial on YouTube. I don't know if it's still there, but it was there a while ago, that had a client after client after client, when they were in the right space to get the most incredible results, financial empowerment, being able to show up on camera, teach from their authentic self, develop themselves as a teacher, go in income, like crazy breakthroughs from like 50K to 500K, from 30K to 300K, from 0 to a 30K launch. There's endless. At the same time, that is not the focus of this. This is not a revenue generating program, like no matter what, okay? I'm just telling you this, when the alignment is there and the timing is right, all sorts of incredible things happen in business. And at the same time, feeling good and really loving what we do and doing it with joy is so much more important. And there's something to be said about being patient with the results. My coach from 2019, I worked with Kelly Roach during that time, and there's something that she said that made so much difference for me. She said in one of the coaching calls, when you start doing something, you actually have to give it 15 to 18 months for it to do something, like if there's a serious effort, right? So if you launch a podcast, you're going to see results of it, but you have to give it the time. You have to give it the time. You have to let yourself get better. You have to develop the traction. And unfortunately, what most people are doing is that they expect immediate manifestation of results. Like, I'm thinking positive, it should happen tomorrow. And solid business that is truly making a difference in the world that you're really proud of it's a work of a lifetime. I'm on this journey, and I will never stop being on this journey of constantly evolving myself, to constantly redefining myself, to expanding my view, healing my blind spots, healing my belief systems. And so this work, I'm coming back to the S.E.R.V.E method because this work is evolving. Okay? So it is important to take a look at the long-term perspective, which is something I used to teach and I still teach. And I still have to remind myself of that because it's so important. Like, if you start teaching something, it's going to take time. It's going to take traction, okay? For you to feel ready to receive the clients or bigger number of clients, and for, the brand awareness to set in. That is not to say that you cannot go from 0 to a 30K launch if that is what is in alignment with you next week. I have seen so many crazy things over and over and over, and I will not hold anyone back. But I think there's so much that we see in the space of like people being so impatient, people wanting immediate results, and actually giving the time to ripen, right? You're planting the tree, but you want the fruits tomorrow, right? And there's some fruits, I planted 5 trees, and there's like one in my yard that already has some, like, it's called cuss. Anyway, it has some fruits, and there's like, avocados that I think are going to take 3 years, right? One of my mentor, Melanie Layer, talks about the pineapples, and pineapples actually take 18 months to grow. Like, it's just like crazy to me, She said that story. It was like, it just really landed. Like, you planted the pineapple, and then you're like 6 months into it, it's like, well, where's the pineapple, right? And then it actually comes, like, it's 18 months later, you have a pineapple. And if you were seeding the pineapples, one every day, then 18 months later, you're going to be getting a lot of fruit. And it's like that with business sometimes too. that are beliefs. Sometimes it's really is faith and it's belief. And it's like, there's so much self-doubt that I see with people that hijacks, that is the death of business. The constant second guessing, the constant, I'm not getting the response that I want. There's so much sabotage because of the self-doubt programs that make you question everything, okay? The thing is, even if you don't have the perfect program in place, even if you don't have the perfect brand in place, there's a ripening process, and you hold a vision and you say to yourself, this is how I want to feel running my program. Like, I want to know that I have the most incredible method, teaching method, formula, whatever it is, that is going to make so much difference for people. And I'm not going to wait till I get it. I'm not going to wait till I get it perfect. I'm going to start taking action, coaching, sharing, putting up posts, recording videos that are not the perfect end product. And that is completely okay. You're evolving yourself in the process. But what's important, that action is being taken consistently. You're showing up. You're learning in the process. You're reformulating, tweaking. Here's what's going to happen. Sometimes you're going to teach things and you're going to find out a week later that the things that you taught are no longer true. That is part of the process. If you tell yourself, I will never launch until I get it right, and I know this is 100% pure, this is 100% of the Spirit, this is 100% of God, and unless it's 100% pure, I'm never going to launch anything, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because number one, you cannot get to the next version until you test this current version. Number two, one of my other mentors, Christina, says that there's no such thing as a pure teaching. Everything is hijacked by something. Everything is being influenced by something that is not authentic. Be it your trauma, be it your lack of experience, be it the entities and programs and whatever, collective mind control, whatever it is, there's always something controlling parts of us. And only as we heal do we find the new truth. Like, something is true until you actually realize a different context. Okay? So something you don't want to do, and something that I have done that was almost deadly to my business, is trying to get my teaching so perfect and so pure that I would get myself stuck in perfectionism and just not release anything. And like, those were the times that you would not see a lot of material coming through for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm healing so much. Is like, why would I even want to share this when I know it's no longer going to be the truth like a week from today? Okay. So regardless, like, that is not a correct attitude. Okay. Having been through that, I will tell you it's not a correct attitude, because where you're now, even if your perspective is not pure and of God and of light and, completely like clear of all hijackings or whatever, it is going to serve somebody. Even if the information from some perspective is some level of false, and I've had false teachers and I've had people whose information is like, outdated for me. It got me to that point, okay? So whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever your context and your perspective is, if you feel the call to teach, to show up, to share, to guide, to mentor, to coach, or if you're already doing it and you're ready for the next level, do not hold this call for pure, like this perfectionism. Like, it has to be perfect. It really has to work, because I couldn't live with myself if my formula didn't work, if I found out it didn't work, and I'm going to have upset clients or whatever it is. Do not let that hold you back. Just don't. Okay, we're not doing this. This is an experiment. We're experimenting together. This is a realm where we play together. We learn from each other. We're sharing what we have learned as a community. Your perspective might be different from mine, and it's completely valid. Each of our perspective is valid, and that the people who are going to be attracted to our perspective, it's going to be valid to them. And there's always people who are resonating with your current level of perspective. Okay? And there's layers to this. But it's like I can say this, for example, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But remember this when you start second guessing yourself. When you record something and then you don't want to put it out there because then you watch yourself video and you're like, oh my God, like I said this one thing, we need to edit this out and No. Sit with it. Feel all the emotions that are coming out about it. Let yourself process it and then decide authentically. Does this really need an edit? Because I need to really feel solid about this? Or is this some kind of internal self-sabotage message and self-doubt that is trying to get a hold of it? And in this business creation process, it is so important. Clarity is the currency. Clarity is something you want to protect and you want to guard. And self-doubt and second-guessing yourself is the death of clarity. So your job for this week is going to be on high alert, doing your breathing, spending time with nature. If you feel called to accept this invitation, really being present. And noticing when self-doubt, questioning your ideas, questioning the strategies that you're coming up with, and really checking when that happens and what does it do to your energy. And sitting with those parts that have those things to say and maybe asking question, well, where is this coming from? Show me more. Finally, I want to walk you through what S.E.R.V.E is and what the letters stand for so you can get excited for the next 5 days. So excited about this. So S used to stand for scalable programming. And I'm changing this and calling it strategy, strategic programming. Okay? We're going to talk about what programs are right for us. We need to talk about aligning with our design. We need to talk about the types of programs that we want to run. Is it one-to-one? Is it one-to-many? I've had a lot of experience running all kinds of programs, one-to-one, one-to-many, hybrid, courses, And so I want to give you a context and a perspective and then have you sort of judge and decide what is right for you. E is engineering your brand. And I rarely hesitated about the word engineering because it is really unpeeling, but there's no U in the S.E.R.V.E method. This is about true brand, which is another course that I'm in the middle of creating and recording and producing. So true brand, it is really about unpeeling the layers of who we think we are and the false identities to really truly align our brand with what we really, how we really, really love to show up. What do we really want to do? Who we really want to be? Part of this is also tuning in to your own signature formula or method. You do not have to have it at the start. Sometimes it is something evolves with time that you kind of fall into. But you want to start thinking about the method, model, formula, all words for the same thing, really, that you have intuitively used to bring people through when you work with them. And how can you put it together in a way that really makes sense to people as you present your offerings? R stands for roadmap. This is going to be a very interesting conversation because we're existing in all these different planes. And there is this plane of planning and putting a divine masculine container, it's a wording that will resonate with some of you, around all the fun that you're having. There has to be a masculine container for the feminine to have a playground. Okay? Without that, you're going to end up just like recording all your downloads all day long, you know, having lots of fun. And it's great. But in order to work with clients, in order to work with the public, there has to be a container that we agree on. It has to work for you. But there has to be a roadmap. There has to be a container. There has to be some systems and processes in place. Again, how it's done, extremely important that it's in alignment with who you are. V stands for virtual retreats. I couldn't help it, you guys. I haven't done them in a little bit. Actually, I did one a minute ago, like 2 months ago. It was on goals. I had so much fun. It was such a great experience. And virtual retreats, I mean, I just love them. I'm doing this one recorded. It's the first time I'm doing a recorded version. I'm super excited about it because I feel like that's the right thing for me at this point. I have done them live on Facebook. I've done 2.5 day, 3 day, 5 day, 7 day retreats on Zoom. And there's no one way to do them, but it's like such an incredible experience. You can do them paid, you can do them free, but there's like, build it your way. Have the confidence to build something that is really, truly authentic to you. Chart your business, chart the territory your way. Do what really, really, really works for you, what resonates with you. This takes extreme courage. And it takes letting go of like, well, I don't know how it should be done. Some business coach has to tell me, and this is the formula. The thing is, that's all bullshit. It's all made up. Somebody made it up, and because it was alignment with their soul, it worked for them. Okay? And it usually works for, if somebody else follows the same formula, it's going to work for like 2% of the people, right? And then there's a lot of people failing because their signature retreat formula, whatever, is different. Okay? So that's going to be V for virtual retreats. And E, it's evolve your energetics and mindset. We're going to be talking about energetics and mindset all throughout, because that is the, you know, that it really is like such a bulk of what we do here to really do the energetic work. But I'm going to focus on some principles and baselines when it comes to evolving our mindset and energetics. So, and then the last day, we're going to have a Q&A. So excited. The questions, like, again, huge encouragement for you to take the time and submit the questions and do the homework, okay? Reflect, sit with it. The homework for today is sit with and complete all the things that haven't worked out for you in the past, that you're sitting with right now, and you're wondering, you know, I loved it at first, but then it stopped working. Then I was traumatized by it and I don't want to do it anymore. So if there is resistance around a particular strategy, really taking a look at the resistance. If I say virtual retreat and you have a reaction, sit with the reaction. Begin forgiving yourself for all the ways you failed, or all the ways, you know, you can submit it in questions too. This is what happened. What do I do from here? Or this is where my mindset is stuck. Okay? You can submit it. You don't wait till the last day to submit the questions. Okay? Submit them now as they come through. Okay? If you have reaction to, you know, road mapping or planning, and you're like, I don't want to do any planning. I just want to live in like a flow, and I don't want to have any masculine container around it. Great. Sit with that. Sit with the feeling of it. What are you resisting? What is the real objection? Maybe there's times where things went really, really awful for you, where your calendar was completely overplanned and overbooked, and now you have complete resistance to any planning of any kind. And you want 100% of freedom. And then you're also realizing that that doesn't work. That's an example, okay? So the homework for today is to sit with any resistance that came up That's number one. Number two, know what your internal authority is. If you don't know it yet, go to myhumandesign.com, find out what it is, and do some research around what your authority is for making decisions, so that you can spend the rest of this week really listening from an empowerment perspective, or more empowered perspective. And I think that's going to be it. I will see you guys on tomorrow on day 2. Thank you so much for being here. So excited to spend this week with you. Tomorrow is going to be probably a little bit longer. Can't wait. And make sure to submit all your questions.